Hey everybody, welcome back to Feedback Loop. I'm Jeremy,
And I'm Joey.
and we talk about music and albums and stuff adjacent to that a lot of the time because
And stuff not adjacent to it, honestly.
that's true. We just kind of we do what we want, but mostly the focus is on albums. This week we listened to "Eat the Elephant" by A Perfect Circle.
Ooh.
It is an album that I chose because I fucking love the album, and it feels like it felt like the time, so we did it. I have a little bit of an anecdote with this album in that in 2018 when this album released, I went to Rock on the Range, which is a rock and roll metal music festival kind of a deal, and A Perfect Circle played on Friday night, I believe, and then Tool headlined on Sunday night. So both of those are bands that feature the vocalist Maynard James Keenan. And I was like, yeah, like I don't really care for A Perfect Circle. I'm kind of a fan of Tool, so like I'm excited. And I went and I saw A Perfect Circle on Friday night there on the main stage, and it blew my fucking mind. Like it changed completely how I feel about A Perfect Circle and how I feel about Tool. Even I did end up seeing Tool on Sunday night because obviously,
Yeah.
but I think I like A Perfect Circle more than I like Tool now, just because of the performance. Like don't get me wrong, they were both great performances and they were both
Yeah.
great shows, but I don't know. There's something about like I don't know. I guess it was because he played songs from this album, obviously, because that album had either just come out or was coming out soon or something. And I fucking love this album, and it was just like this kind of like awakening in me that like, man, this is really my thing. Like this album nails a certain tone and feeling that I feel like isn't replicated in a lot of places. And seeing them live and the energy and like I don't know, just it was good. It was a good experience, and that's why I love this album so much. I
Well, shit, man.
think now that I've built it up incredibly, we can talk about what the album is. But the album art is kind of interesting. There are actually three different ones. I think there's one primary one, which is the one that I'm going to be talking about, which we probably should have cleared up beforehand.
I only
But
saw one of them as a beforehand. Like, I've only seen one album artwork. I don't know of these other two you speak of.
yeah, no, well, so the album, I think the primary album art and the one that you've seen probably, and the one that I'm going to be discussing is the one. Uh, they're all three very similar. They all three feature Maynard James Keenan in like a full white paint all over his hands that you can see, and his wrists and his face and his head, and half of his head is shaven, and the other half is this black fading to a grayish white hair. There are three variants of this album, and one of which is he's completely bald, one of which he is completely haired, and then there's the primary one, which is half and half.
Does that
So
mean something? It
I don't
has to
know.
mean something. It's
I,
Maynard.
I I have no idea. Everything means something with Maynard, but yeah. So the one I'm talking about, he's half and half. It's half shaven. I guess he's not actually shaven. If there's a variant of this that's pretty much identical, but he has full hair, so I'm assuming it's Photoshop work
Yeah.
or something. Or maybe he just took three pictures of himself in the same thing. Also, the blood dripping out of his mouth is different. I haven't even addressed what's happening in this picture. I just realized that. So on this album is Maynard James Keenan holding some octopus heart creature thing. It looks like it's a heart with tentacles. It looks kind of like an octopus or a squid, but also like a beating heart. You can see veins going up like I guess the head of the octopus, and it has blue and red tentacles, which have significance later in the album, I think. He also has some colored juice or blood dripping out of each corner of his mouth, some blue on one side and red on the other. His eyes also have blue and red paint. There's a lot of like contrast and focus pulled to the blue and red on this because everything else is black and white. Like I said, he's painted up with full white, like face paint all over his head, his ears, his hands. He's wearing this black. Uh, I don't really know what to call that. I don't know fashion, but kind of like a jacket, kind of like a long sleeved.
It's
I,
like
I
the
don't know.
suit jacket that buttons all the way onto one side. Like, the buttons aren't down the middle.
Right.
It all, like, I don't
It's
know.
like a fancy like New Yorker jacket kind of a thing,
Yeah.
but also like a suit. And down the right side of, or down the right sleeve, I should say, of his suit is like suction cups pattern that kind of like wraps around his wrist. So it evokes that of an octopus suction cup kind of tentacle thing. So tentacles, dripping blood, blue and red, black and white. There's a lot there. Just go Google it. I don't know why we describe this stuff every week. Just go Google it and you'll understand what we're talking about.
No, but the whole point of this is we're supposed to describe everything so perfectly that they don't even have to listen to it or look at the album, and they can just entirely form their opinion based off of what we say.
You know, I like the sound of that, but I also hate the sound of that because I want people to listen to these albums.
Yeah,
I don't want to just like describe these albums to people and then be like, yeah, I like that. That's a good album.
Yeah.
Having never heard the album, or no, I hate that. Having never heard the album.
We are trying to create a whole force of like fanboys who are just mindlessly following people. That's what we're trying.
Don't tell them. We're recruiting an army for the end times.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the album art. That's everything. Joey, take us away. I know we've been kind of stalling. I've been stalling a lot, even just before starting this recording, trying not to address the elephant. But maybe you can just dive in and eat the elephant in the room.
Okay, I will eat the elephant one bite at a time. I'm going to start off though before I even describe this song and let you know. I like Tool. I'm not like one of those people that's crazy about them or anything. I don't like.
You sound like you're about in the place that I was in 2018.
I have heard a few songs by Pussifer. Is that how you say the name of his other band?
I believe so. That's how I've always said it, but I don't know.
I've heard a few songs by them and didn't care too much for it. So I had just never really looked too much into A Perfect Circle.
Mm-hmm. So with that interesting context of not really knowing where you stand, how does this song strike you? The song is called Eat the Elephant, by the way.
The song is not at all what I was expecting. It starts off with like a big, heavy, like organ piano or something.
Yeah.
But instantly, I liked it. Like,
Good.
I liked the sound of it. I like his voice. His voice over almost everything else. I like it. And it's weird because his voice is something that I don't like about Pussifer, and it's something that I don't really care too much about in Tool.
Right.
The music is really what I like Tool for. I like his voice a lot. It's so smooth. It's so like haunting, I guess would be the word to say. And there's not a lot going on behind him. Like, it's at least at the beginning of this song and starting off, it's just like piano and drums and him singing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I don't know. It's
fantastic.
Yeah, it was like
I'm just excited. I'm ecstatic right now that you're expressing the same thing because I love everything you've said and more. Like, obviously I'm a drum guy. Like, the sound of the drums, it's kind of like this jazzy kind of thing. There's a nice kick sound. There's a good ride cymbal, which I've gushed about ride cymbals before.
Yeah.
The snare, everything, just like, and the piano, it's dark and it's elegant, and I love it. And his voice, like you said, his voice is a big part of this album.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm right there with you with like Tool. It's like, I'm not there for his vocal performances, but this album fucking like zeroes it in, and there's just something about it and how he performs it, and it's amazing.
Yeah, like I'd always heard stuff about Maynard being like this great, powerful vocalist, and I mean, I'm not gonna say that you can't hear that in Tool,
right?
Because you definitely can, but this just hits me more. It's more.
He has more space.
Yeah.
To like kind of to not really show off, but to like there's definitely a focus that is being pulled by his vocals. Whereas in Tool, it's more about the band or more about the music. And actually, I think I could be mistaken, but I feel like he has said in regards to Tool music that he actually like tunes his vocals out of a lot, or he expects it to be drowned out by the music because he doesn't want his vocals specifically to be like pulling focus on the music of Tool, where this is kind of the opposite.
Well, then that's probably why he started this. He was like, if I'm pulling my vocals out of Tool, I got to put them all into this.
Yeah, and I can't speak for, to be clear, I can't speak for other A Perfect Circle albums. I haven't actually listened to a lot of them.
Yeah.
I've listened to a few songs by A Perfect Circle previously, but I still haven't gone back to listen to those albums. I know it's been 2 years. I've had time. I just haven't done it.
It's just hard when there's so much other music to listen to, and
It's true.
you like this, so it's like, eh, I got this. I don't. What do I need anything else for, right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't. Lyrically, the song's kind of like just it's pretty simple, I guess. It's about taking the first step towards your goals. He addresses the elephant in the room, which is kind of the theme of the album, I think,
Yeah.
of how difficult it is to take the first step and not really knowing what the end result's going to look like. And it's as he puts it, ominous and daunting. But you have to do it, or you're going to live in regret and never know.
Yeah, that's. I had never even honestly put together the whole elephant in the room thing because there are a lot of huge issues talked about on this album. What
Yeah,
I like, I think we came to the same thing in like a roundabout way because I thought of like, I don't know. I don't know if it's a riddle or just like a saying, but people are like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, because it's like this impossible task
yeah.
where, but then you're like, you just start small and you just keep going one step at a time, one bite at a time.
Also, maybe don't try to eat a whole elephant.
Yeah,
It's
you
not.
probably shouldn't, especially because I don't know, eat the elephant. Like for some reason, I just picture the elephant being alive, and you
Yeah,
shouldn't eat living elephants because
you
they'll
shouldn't eat
probably kill you.
living anything, really. I don't think.
Not, yeah, probably not. That probably wouldn't be good. It's probably not like nice.
Yeah, but I mean, we as a society have become pretty like disillusioned with the whole idea of eating animals, and it's.
Yeah,
I mean, I eat animals, dead ones, but what's keeping me from eating a live one? I don't know.
the living part, I guess.
The living part, yeah, I guess, but a dead animal is just a living animal without the living part. I don't know
Wow.
what I'm trying to say here.
Okay, Taliesin.
Yeah, life needs things to live. Track 2 is Disillusioned, and this song live, holy shit!
Okay.
I think this is the song that did it. This is the song that sold me on this album, and
Hmm.
I think this is the song that flipped that switch in my mind. Because seeing the song live was incredible. Listening to this song on the album is incredible.
Yeah.
I want to hear you describe it to see, because I wrote a lot of notes for this song,
Holy
but
shit.
I just want to. I love this fucking song.
Okay, so all that stuff I said about this album, like I really like Maynard's voice, and this album, I went into it not really caring about Tool too much and not liking Pussifer, and was just like, I really like this album. I was just blown away by this album. This is the song in which I wrote all that stuff and had that kind of thought on
Right.
originally because I don't know, like the first chorus in this. So the song kind of leads up to this first chorus through, I guess it's like a little intro, first verse, and
Hmm.
it's kind of on the slower side, but I don't know. It's not overtly rock, kind of like I was expecting this whole album to be. I kind of thought the first song was just kind of an intro
Right.
to it and it was going to build up and it didn't, so I was kind of caught off guard by that.
Right.
But the way that all of the music just kind of drops out in that first chorus
Yeah.
and it's just him singing, like it took me into a completely different headspace as I was listening to this album. It's like I was talking last week with the Death Heaven album about how I really, really like whenever bands play with just silence
Hmm.
and stuff like that whenever during their songs. And this is like the perfect example of that because it's just like you're listening to a song and then all of a sudden just everything disappears and it's just him. It's just a little bit of like background piano behind him
Yeah.
and you are instantly just transported to a different place to the point that whenever the song comes back after that, you feel like you're just thrust back into that other space and you're
Yeah.
just like, where was I? What just happened?
Yeah. And he like, I don't know, like you said, it's not quite rocky. It's kind of like psychedelic at the beginning and
Yeah.
spacey, and then it drops, and it's just him singing. And then when it comes back in, it like I don't know. There's like the drums building and the guitars, and it almost sounds sinister when it all
Yeah,
comes back in. And he's like chanting on dopamine or
yeah.
something like that, and it's just like, and then it goes back into the song that was kind of playing, and like you said, it's like you've been transported between two different things. I did also note the drum pattern in like the second bridge section or the second like transitional section has this very like when the levee breaks feel to it, and I
Oh
fucking
my
love it.
god.
It's so good, and I just can't help but bob my head to it.
Yeah.
I wrote a lot more notes on the music. I'm not going to go into it because it'll take me like 10 minutes to get through it all.
Oh, come
Um,
on. I'll just say the song was very groovy. That's
yeah,
something like it had not groovy in the sense like disco groovy, but like it had quite a bit of groove to it. When the levee breaks, that comparison, fucking spot on, dude. I love that
yeah.
song. I love this song.
It's fucking great. I broke down a large portion of the lyrics. I don't even, maybe a large portion's not fair. I broke down the chorus of it, and the song is talking about our kind of like smartphone driven society,
hmm
and how we have given in to this constant desire to be distracted by anything shiny. We spend more time staring at our phones, both trying to impress others and being impressed by others, that we ironically don't really connect with anything, despite being more connected to everyone with just like a flick of a wrist and
Yeah.
the click of a button. You have this instant access with everything. But just the chorus is so well written. I love it. He says, "Time to put the silicone obsession down. Take a look around. Find a way in the silence. Lie supine with your back on the ground, or back to the ground. Dis and reconnect to the resonance now." Which is like him telling you, like, "Hey, put your fucking phone down. Reassess where you are in real life. Clear yourself of all these distractions, and get your bearings on reality." And then he goes on. He says, "You were never an island," meaning you're not alone.
Yeah.
You don't need to live vicariously through other people online. You're a real person. You're not isolated. And then he finishes it up by saying, "Unique, voice among the many, in this choir, tuning into each other to lift all higher." And that really, like, the way he says it and delivers it, it really like speaks to me. And it's like he's saying you're unique as an individual. You have a specific role to play in the life of yourself and in the lives of everyone around you. You're a voice in the choir, like he says. Each individual member has their purpose, and by finding your voice, you can contribute to society. And if everyone does that and makes genuine connections with each other, then we as a society can achieve incredible things. I just fucking love it.
Well, shit, man. I had literally I didn't do the whole chorus, but I did from the "You Are an Island" part
Mm-hmm.
on because that part just hit me
Yeah, it's so
in
good.
in a way because it's true. Like I don't know. Whenever you're out there and you see all these people who are supposed to be connecting, and I know this is almost a cliche at this point to talk about this because it has been done to death that
Yeah,
social media is making us less social, duh. Like, but it's so true whenever you see all these people and they're taking pictures of themselves in these crowded places, but all the focus is on them to
right.
the point where it seems like they are literally an island. They are in a sea of reality, but they have created this little island of fakeness or representation, whatever they want the world to
Yeah,
see them as. And you feel that way too whenever you are out there in this landscape of social media and you are just one account bouncing off one account and you're trying your hardest to be unique. But the best way that you can use your uniqueness is to not engage with any of that, but to back out into the real world and join the world at like the people are so caught up in wanting to be their own thing. They don't need anybody else. They don't whatever. But the best way that you can truly utilize your uniqueness is to complement other people with it. Like
yeah,
that is I don't know, that's the best way to be a society, to be a commune of people together trying to make the world better.
yeah. I agree. I This is kind of off topic, but the song makes me think of a Bo Burnham speech that he gave during his Make Happy. Have you seen Make Happy by Bo Burnham?
I have not.
Okay, I'm going to recite this. I didn't quote the full thing. It's a pretty long speech, but he gets pretty fucking real during that. What do they call them? Comedy specials. It was
Yeah.
a Netflix thing. It was a live performance that was recorded. But at some point in it, he says they say it's like the me generation. It's not. The arrogance is taught or it was cultivated. It's self-conscious. It's conscious of self. Social media, it's just the market's answer to a generation that demanded to perform. So the market said, here, perform everything to each other all the time for no reason. It's prison. It's horrific. It's performer and audience melded together. What do we want more than to lie in our bed at the end of the day and just watch our life as a satisfied audience member? I know very little about anything, but what I do know is that if you can live your life without an audience, you should do it. And it very much gives the same vibes as
Yeah.
I think what Maynard's doing, which is kind of ironic because he's a comedian and he's giving this like very meaningful and like well thought out speech about how he shouldn't be living with an audience, but he's literally giving that to an audience, kind of a thing. But I don't know, that part in his show always speaks to me, and like I said, this part in the song always speaks to me in a very important way.
And here we are just making a podcast. But we don't have an audience, though.
Exactly, we're doing this for us.
Boom.
It's fine.
We figured it out, man.
Yeah, I don't want to be a contrarian or anything, but I think we're different.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually about to make that same segue, but
Segue? What are you talking about?
I'm being a contrarian by pointing out whenever you're making the funny ha-has over here.
That's not my job. That's Bo Burnham's job.
That is true. Man, he's a good comedian though. Like I feel like he's not just a comedian. And I feel like if more people like that were I kind of pushed to the forefront, then maybe people would be a little more self-aware. Not
Yeah.
not to get too real.
Yeah,
This
I
is
mean,
a
you
very
did.
real time.
You did. It's fine. We can be too real. We can pull it back with the jokes. It's fine. Totally like not related. Go watch Make Happy by Bo Burnham. Everyone that's in there. It's a funny show. He's a really funny guy, but he also makes very clear and very good points at certain points in the show. But yeah, The Contrarian, track number 3.
Boom.
Take it away, Joey.
Okay, so this one it starts out with like I don't know, is it like an electric harp or something?
It kind of like sounded like a lute,
Yeah,
like some old medieval kind of like string instrument.
Yeah, and then there's just like I don't know, there's some sort of like electronic sounds going over it, so it sounds very like old and new mixed together type thing. But boy, does Maynard like enunciate every single syllable of what he says in the song. Not saying I don't like it, but it's just like it is. I don't know. He sounds like he's like reading Shakespeare or something.
For sure. And he like to lend itself to that. Like I guess we're gonna go and jump into lyrics here, but he paints very good imagery. I think in the song specifically, I like his chorus. He says, and the way he delivers like this magician's sleight of tongue in hand.
Yeah.
But I really like he says as warm and calculated as heroin. Beware the contrarian, and it just like, damn, that's clever and it's good and it's accurate and it's fascinating to me.
Especially when you know what he's talking about. I know he's talking about politicians. He doesn't name names or anything, but given the fact that this was written in 2018, now I'm not going to say anything regarding Maynard's political views because I don't know them, and
he's pretty anti-government, I think.
Yeah, I think he's just anti all of it. Like,
right.
He kind of just does his own thing. Like he made
that's kind of a theme in this album that's not necessarily in the forefront of a lot. In this song, it definitely is, but I think it comes back up later as well. That he's just like he's done with it, and I didn't even like. I put no thought into that last week when I picked this album. For those in America, this past week was our election counting and the ballots and stuff. So we had a new president. So it was kind of this weird, like coincidental that we're listening to this album that has some political context in it during a very political time, and a very charged political time
Extremely
uh,
charged.
in America. But yeah, I don't know. I really like the song. The like you said, the way he enunciates things and in his voice, it just like I don't know. It sounds good.
Yeah, like I don't know. Just I feel like if there's somebody that could pull it off, it's him because of the way he writes lyrics. Like
Right.
I I'm I definitely meant it when I said he sounds like he's reading Shakespeare, because not only does the way he's reading it sound like it, every word he's saying, like hello he lied, like velvet this magician's sleight of tongue and hand, hello he lied, beware, belie his smile. Like who who else is going to write lyrics about a silver-tongued, lying, cheating politician like that? Like
Right.
that's it
Yeah.
just
Everyone but within everyone, a scale of voice. Everyone but him. Core is black as pitch. Like nope, nobody says that.
yeah, yeah. But I like it. I like it when he says it.
Yeah, exactly. He says those things, and yeah, yeah. And overall, like we said, the song's kind of like talking about someone very charismatic and calculated and very good at manipulating people.
Mhm.
And tying this back to the album art a little bit, I think the blue and the red theme of the octopus slash squid slash heart creature and the dripping blood and the eye paint and stuff is kind of pointing towards America's two-party system,
Yeah.
making the song kind of about how corrupt our politicians are.
No wonder he's anti-government.
Yeah, he doesn't think very highly of them. We're all doomed.
We're all the doomed.
Oh shit!
Boom.
That's track number 4, people.
That's track
I
number
don't,
4.
I don't know how whispers come through. I don't edit this or anything, but track 4 is the doomed.
I can't believe you don't edit this, Jeremy. I can't
I
believe you.
do. It was a joke. It was a guffaw. A good old knee slapper. The doomed has some like it starts with this like live studio drums that aren't really like mic'd up, with some like ambient horns or synths or something, and you kind of hear someone take a deep breath, or like they're holding their breath, or they gasp right before the drums come in with this fully mic'd up tom punchy, like it's so good the way the song starts.
Yeah.
And there's like a single note that's being plucked over like repeatedly, very quick, like a
Oh yeah, that
and
bass.
it's just like, oh, it's so good. And he says, like, when he says like good luck, you're on your own, this boisterous orchestra kind of kicks in, and it has so much energy in it. I feel like I'm prepping for war.
Yeah.
And then it gets delicate, and there's some like super high like glockenspiel notes and some soft piano when he's talking about the meek and the mourning and the merciful. And it kind of like paints this dichotomy between warmongers and the innocents affected by war. And I don't know, it's just so good. And then it builds up again when he's talking about when he does the soft part again, and he ends it with by saying the decent, and then it just gets destroyed by again these big toms and this orchestra and this guitar, and I love it. And the way he howls at the end, like, man, he's such a good vocalist, and this album shows it.
Yeah. Especially like, oh my god, there is no better way to describe. I don't know how political I'm supposed to get here.
Get as political as you want. I don't
Okay,
care.
there is no better way to describe U.S. politics than "fuck the doomed, you're on your own." Like
Yeah.
that is literally like I am able to recognize that I have lived my life in a place with people that have been very good support for me, and that I am lucky to be in the situation that I'm in
Yeah.
right now. But it is, oh my god, like so much just, oh yeah, well, you know what, fuck you, I got mine. Like that is literally
Yeah.
that is
That's
just
America.
that is but and I'm just gonna go for it, like
Yeah.
whatever. So this whole song seems to be, I tried to do less looking up exactly what other people have said about the lyrics and stuff, but
Right.
so given my background coming from a Catholic school and going to church a lot, this song is like almost the exact opposite of, I think it was Jesus' Sermon on the Mount.
Yeah.
Okay, Sermon on the Mount. Not, I was going to say Sermon on the Mountain, but it was like the exact opposite, where he's saying, "Blessed are the fornicates, may we bend down to be their whores. Blessed are the rich, may we labor, deliver them more." That line right there is literally just the lower
Yeah,
class, like the not the lower class. I know the lower class. They're trying to fight back, but there's so many people that it seems like in the lower class are just like bootlickers of the billionaires who are just like,
right.
yes, keep working me down to the bone and pay
Trump
me.
supporters.
Hey,
Sorry, excused.
I didn't say it, but
I'm not ashamed to say it. I don't give a fuck
yeah,
if like fuck Trump. I don't know if that's a politically correct thing to say
no,
or if
it
that's
is,
good for our brand. Fuck it. Like
dude.
if you voted for Trump, I don't fucking care. Get the fuck out of here. I'll just say it. That's not fair. That's charged.
That's
I feel sorry that you believe that Trump was trying to help you.
that's the thing that I don't get though is how can you think that in what unless you're already
I
at
mean,
the
it's
top.
brainwashing, right?
Yeah,
We're not going to get too far into this,
yeah,
but
okay,
it's like I don't know. The same thing happens with religion, and that's
yeah,
people have been raised in an area and an environment in which something is fact that isn't actually fact,
yeah,
and
something,
it's not an easy habit to break,
yeah,
and it's not like I don't know. It's so easy to have these things ingrained in you
yeah,
and not doubt them because like no, it's just the way it is. Like yeah, gravity exists. It's real. There's no reason I would question that kind of a thing.
yeah.
But I don't know. I think it all kind of ties back to your environment.
And I think you make a good point about like comparing it to religion because I think that I mean that not even I think that is just what he's doing here. He's
Yeah,
delivering this, I guess, take on political people in a religious context because another thing that's wrong with the US government is it is so ingrained in not just religion, but one religion. And
yeah,
it's it's to the point where if you don't hold that religion's values, you're at a steep disadvantage in this
right.
in this country.
Yeah, and like even if you're not in a religious minority, if you're just in like a skin color minority, there's this overwhelming sense of like, oh, you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps and it'll be fine. But that's not the way it works because the system was built to keep those people down,
Yeah,
and that's kind of like what the song is poking fun at. It's kind of satirizing, like you said, the Sermon on the Mount, which Jesus praises the meek and the humble is blessed. Maynard kind of does the opposite for ironic effect. And he touts that there's a new beatitude, which is good luck, you're on your own, and that's the sentiment in this nation is like, oh, like if I can get up here and if I can make something with my life, then why can't all these black people living in ghettos like make their own way out of that shit? Like, no, because the system's against them.
you
You're a
too can
white
get here
man.
with a small loan of $1 million.
Exactly. It's fucked up, and I hate it. And Maynard clearly hates it, and he's kind of calling it out here.
Well, good on you, Maynard. Keep making your wine or whatever you're
Does he
doing
make
there.
wine? He
I'm pretty
probably
sure.
makes
I
wine.
think he like owns an orchard and he makes wine or something.
That sounds right.
Keep
Wait, it's
doing
not
your
an orchard. It's a vineyard,
vineyard,
Joey.
orchard. He
Orchards are
makes
for apples,
he
right?
makes apple wine. Don't
I mean,
question me.
that's a thing. I think it's
Yeah, you
like
can. I mean, you can make anything into wine if you try
it's
hard
true.
enough.
Just let it ferment long enough, and it'll be a juicy alcoholic beverage.
Yep, and you know what goes with what Jesus said
God damn
whenever
it,
he.
Joey. No, come on. I want to hear it. I want to
you know,
hear it.
you know what the people that were listening to Jesus said whenever he finally just left, stopped talking, and let them go back to their lives. They were all just like, "So long, and thanks for all the fish." And
Oh, is that where you were going with that? Track
yeah,
number 5 is "So Long and Thanks for All the Fish."
that's exactly where I was going. Where do you think I was going with it?
I there. That's exactly where I thought you were going with it. But yeah, "So Long and Thanks for All the Fish." It's this one kind of stands out on the album, but not necessarily in a good way, in my opinion. I don't hate it.
Yeah,
Just want to be clear.
this
But
song sounds pretty poppy though. Like
yeah, it
it's
sounds like this poppy indie rock song. It's got some like fuzzy lead guitar. It's got like a pounding kick. It just straight up sounds like it's not on this. It shouldn't be on this album
yeah,
musically. at the very least. There's still kind of this slight sense of impending doom with the guitar, but it's mostly a bright track kind of contrasting the dark tones of most of the rest of the album.
Man, like, I guess, I don't know. My reasoning whenever I think about why it sounds poppier, which I mean, not pop's not a bad thing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm saying this like I can't believe he made this pop sounding song because it's
Well, I
not.
mean, it's Maynard James Keenan, and this album, for at least up until this point, has been nothing like this.
Yeah, that's yeah. But I'm guessing he did it because it's once again a commentary on today's society,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also in a way a farewell song to many major celebrities, just popular people
Right.
who seem to have passed away around the time that he was writing the song, like Gene Wilder. These references now Willy Wonka, Major Tom, Ali, and Leah. Gene Wilder, David Bowie.
Joey, you're killing me.
Why?
It's Leia.
Leia? Oops.
Leia.
Leia.
It's Princess Leia. You fucking uncultured swine.
I'm not a Star Wars guy,
Yeah,
Jared.
I know. We've discussed this, and I'm still pissed about it.
I'm Lord of the Rings over here, man. I live in stuff that could be real.
Elves could be real.
Elves could be real.
Okay, Joey. But yeah, like I said, he kind of like. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I mean, I did mean to interrupt you, but
yeah,
I didn't
you should.
I didn't want to derail it.
You know, I'd interrupt you if you got something wrong from like the Elder Scrolls lore or Lord of the Rings.
Vives? Is that how you?
Don't even mess with me, Jeremy.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you realize the title is a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference.
No.
Oh, really?
I've never read it.
Well, so in the book, and I guess probably in the movie, I don't think I've seen the movie, but the dolphins leave the planet, and he makes reference to that in the song as well. He mentions the dolphins moving on or whatever. But in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the dolphins just leave Earth. They just straight up leave. They're like, no, like this place is fucked.
But
like,
how?
We're leaving.
I mean, take me with you, but how?
it's a comedy story. Don't look too much into it. They left the Earth because they could tell it was doomed to be destroyed to make way for an intergalactic space bypass highway thing. So they're just like, nah, we're gone. So long. Thanks for all the fish. Which is where the title comes from.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Well, yeah, that explains the title then. I kind of thought it was like I literally, like, the way I segued it, I kind of thought that's how he named it, is like, Jesus just made all this fish for these people, and they were like,
yeah,
cool story, bro, but thanks for feeding our village for a while.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it. I'm trying to find. I'm pretty sure he mentions the dolphins at some point in the song.
He does.
Yeah.
He says,
oh, yeah, all the dolphins have moved on.
Yeah, signaling the final curtain call in all its atomic pageantry.
Yeah, but yeah, so the song that pretty much sums up the feeling of the song. I think in that, like, it's about how the world is pretty much doomed, and everybody's just kind of spending their money to make themselves happy until they die, potentially to nuclear war. That's what it seems like he's alluding to.
Yeah. Fireworks display, mind and body blown away. What a radiant crescendo. That sounds... Oh, under the mushroom cloud confetti is is a line in there. Okay, yep.
So, very much like impending nuclear... Wow.
Jeez, Jeremy.
I said it, and I apologize. I've never said it that way in my life. Nuclear war. But, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty doom and gloom song with some pretty happy music, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, that's the original point I think I was maybe trying to make, is that I think that's why he did it. It was like, yeah the dichotomy.
Good contrast. I was taking a drink. I wasn't letting that linger intentionally to make you feel bad about what you were saying. Track number 6 is Talk Talk. I'm not going to segue. We're just going on. We're moving right on. And this one goes back to the kind of dark piano-driven music.
Mm-hmm.
The verse is pretty minimal musically, with just the bass and the drums and maybe some like eerie synth effects and stuff. I really like the sound of the bass on this track.
Yeah.
He has some great vocal harmonies in this track. The chorus brings in this chuggy guitar and gives it kind of this gritty feel. It's almost Tool sounding, but less abstract rhythmically and less like progressive, I guess.
Yeah.
as a lot of Tool stuff is. It's definitely the most rocky track thus far on the album, and I really like this track. And at the end, there's this lovely like crash and burn with a guitar dive and ambience and stuff, and it's great. It's great.
Yeah, you definitely hit it because I also compared it to Tool. Not like I know I said I didn't really care too much about Tool, but it's like with the chuggy guitar, it definitely
Yeah.
has a Tool feel at parts. The whole song doesn't feel that way because there's like an ebb and flow throughout the
Mm-hmm.
song. But yeah, whenever it gets to the heavy parts, it does feel kind of like Tool.
For
But
sure.
the lyrics, because I like the lyrics, I like the theme of this song a lot, and I mean, it's just something that's always very pertinent. I very much like the line "faith without works is talk without works," and I like the way that he blends it together so it sounds like he's saying faith without works is talk. So it's like,
Right.
but then it's talk without works is
Is
faith,
faith
and then
without
faith
works.
without works is dead. Like it just all it seems like it's separate, but then whenever he says it, it's all like kind of together, but also separate, and it's just essentially saying that. I mean, you can just talk all you want, and if you're just hoping something's going to happen because you're talking about it, that's just blind faith and faith
Right.
without actually taking action to help what you're believing in or to act more like what you're believing in. It's just nothing.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the theme of the song,
Yeah,
where he's like, stop just talking about doing shit and actually go and do shit. So often people give thoughts and prayers to those in need, but much less frequently they'll actually donate or volunteer to actually bring about the change that they want to see in
yeah.
society.
And of course, he ends it with "Try walking your talk or get the fuck out of my way." So
Yeah. So,
that's
so it
just
seems like he's got a plan, and
yeah.
he's
He's
fucking
doing something.
yeah. He back to eat the elephant. He's like, all right, it's time to act.
Yeah,
I've made the first step, which is identifying the issue. I'm gonna fucking try to get something done here, kind of a deal.
yeah. I like it. I like the sentiment. It's very nice. And
Yeah.
you know, if I man.
He sounded so defeated. Just man.
Like for some reason in my head, the next song, track number 7, "By and Down the River." I started to try to make some sort of pun, and then in my head, all I heard was "in a van down by the river."
And van by and down the
Yeah,
river.
like, but yeah, "By and Down the River" is the next song, and it's got some nice strings on here, like,
Yeah.
and some organ. I think is it an organ? Is it a piano? What's going on there? Because it sounds heavy. It sounds very heavy.
I hope you're
And
not actually asking me to give you a definite answer because I was not there at the recording of this album. I
I,
cannot I cannot assist you there.
I don't know, man. He said he had all these notes and all
I
this,
do. I, d-
but
I did specifically about. It's fine. We're gonna keep going.
no, okay, okay, but yeah. So Maynard again has like a great vocal melody going on. Just
Mm-hmm.
he like sings these little passages almost, and I call them passages because it is. It's just like a poem or
Yeah.
something, and he's just like singing these little parts and taking breaks. And this song, it very much like whenever he's singing, it stuff kind of goes down a little bit, and then it swells back up whenever he's done, and then it goes back down, and it swells back. It does this like 6 times or something, but
Right.
every time it kind of builds a little bit more. And there's also like in the background this kind of echoey, reverby guitar that I just like because his voice it sounds kind of like lonely or mysterious or like haunting, and
Yeah.
the echoey guitar just kind of complements that really well.
I agree completely, and I think specifically in this voice or in this track, I noted that his voice is slightly different. I think than a lot of the rest of the album, where it feels a bit lower and
Hmm.
more dramatic. Also, sidebar fun fact: the song was actually released way before this album came out.
Oh,
It was called "By and Down," and it was released. I think it's a single that never made it onto an album, and I think he went back to it and kind of like rewrote it and remastered it for this album.
well, I'm glad he did because I like this song.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's got a guitar solo too that
Yeah, it
I
does.
enjoyed. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
And then
the one at the
then
end.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
right after that, there's like a thumpy building section that leads into the last verse or the last section, I
yeah.
guess as you should say, or passage. That's the word you used.
Yeah, that's
keep it with you.
Hey, I did something cool, and you want to keep it with me. That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, I want to keep it with you because I don't want it to touch me.
Yeah, just get that shit out of here. That's terrible. It's all
yeah.
you, man.
But lyrically, this one kind of gave me vibes of betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about someone revealing bits of themselves that they've been hiding, and now it seems like he doesn't even like recognize them. There's reference to killing the Pied Piper, which implies that they're getting away with doing something without having to pay the consequences. They're not paying the Pied Piper. They've wronged him, or because it's Maynard, they've wronged society, and are getting away with murder, so to speak, by doing something terrible and then just not having any consequences.
I also got the vibe because like the Pied Piper leading. What was it in the story? Like the Pied Piper like played his flute and led a bunch of like children off into the forest and killed them, or like they died or something. I don't know.
It's story time. The Pied Piper he had a magical flute, or he was magical and played through a flute, and he would call all the rats away from the city, and people didn't thank him. People didn't pay him. They stopped paying him or whatever. They're like, no, fuck you. Like, we're not going to pay you. Like, you got rid of all of our rats. So he played his pipe, and he pulled all of the children out of the village and led them to their deaths.
There we go. That's what it was.
So the phrase like paying the Pied Piper is like owning up to your mistakes and like dealing with the consequences of whatever it is you've done, which could lead to your child's death if you don't.
But hey, it's not your death, so why should you care?
That's America.
See, I also made the connection as like the Pied Piper is just like playing this magical song, but leading children to certain death as his whole anti-government seems to be like anti-religion or just blind faith policy. And I mean, I think
he quotes a lot of like Bible stuff, which is fascinating to me for someone who's so like against it. But I guess it means that he's like well read on it. He's well studied. He understands it, and he has that as ammunition to use against them, I guess.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely like that's the thing. You love it or hate it. Like I feel like you can't make accurate kind of. I don't know. You can't
criticism.
Criticism. That's the word I was looking for. Without at least being knowledgeable of it in a way. Like that's.
No,
I don't know.
Joe, you don't understand. We're in America. We criticize without any context.
You know what? You're right, and that I should just unlearn.
That's probably not even just an American thing. I think it's just a people thing. Surely that happens everywhere else.
Well,
but I feel like it's more so. It's exacerbated here in America, perhaps.
What's it called? Like, it's an actual thing. The Dunning-Kruger effect? Is that what it is? Like, the less you know about something, the more you think you know, but then the more you learn about something, the more you realize that there's so much that you don't know. And
I have no fucking clue. So I'm Googling this right now. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a type of cognitive bias in which people believe that they are smarter and more capable than they really are.
Yeah.
So
maybe that's But yeah, I feel like that's just
essentially it goes on just to cap this off. Essentially, low ability people do not possess the skills needed to recognize their own incompetence. Throwing some mad shade, but
well, I don't think I'm incompetent. So what does that say about me?
That either you aren't incompetent or you are and you don't know it.
So I'm pretty much exactly where I started.
Exactly.
I learned nothing.
Didn't we all?
Well, you know those moments where you don't learn anything, they're just absolutely delicious.
Are they, though? I feel like they're pretty hollow and meaningless, but also track 8 is called delicious.
I was about to say, Jeremy, the track 8 isn't called hollow and meaningless.
It is indeed not called that. It is called delicious. This one also kind of has the optimistic music vibe of like So Long and Thanks for All the Fish.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, this one kind of sounds like a pretty boring rock song to me. It's not nearly as interesting as the dark and ominous pianos on the rest of the album. I feel like this could literally just be a Filter song, which I don't know.
Filter, like the band Filter, or
yeah,
okay,
yeah, which maybe is a bit of a stretch for a lot of people musically, but it felt like it fit.
I don't hate Filter, but I mean I don't.
No, neither do I. But it's a different. It's I don't know. It feels completely out of place on this album.
They did "Hey Man, Nice Shot," right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one song everyone knows by him.
Oh no, what was the other song?
Nobody knows.
Let go my airplane, let go my airplane. That song.
I have no idea. I've heard like 5 Filter songs, and they all sound the same to me. Outside of "Hey Man, Nice Shot." So
whatever that song is, listen to it because I actually really like that song. But back to this album.
All right.
Back to this song. Yeah, I don't know. Like around 2.5 minutes, like a little string part comes in for about 15 seconds.
Yes,
and it's pretty cool.
I did call that out.
From then on, the song's better, I think.
I agree. There's like this nice break that has the strings and the acoustic guitar, but it still feels so out of place on this album.
Yeah.
And I think I like every other song on this album so much more that contrast wasn't really a good thing for me.
Yeah.
I do think I like the song lyrically. Perhaps relating to the prior song, it seems like the person maybe finally did pay the price for wronging people. The song seems to be about kind of reveling in the justice that was doled out. I especially like the first verse where, and just, I don't know if it's his delivery on it or just the implications of it, but he says, "How inconvenient and unexpected and harrowing for you as consequences tend to be. For the rest of us, so delicious to witness your dread, poetic justice, consummate." And it's just like, just the way he says, like, how inconvenient and unexpected and harrowing for you as consequences tend to be. He's like saying, like, "Oh, I'm sorry you didn't expect consequences, but that's what happens."
I definitely want somebody to show up the next time I witness some like instant karma or something. Somebody and just like his accent to just be like, "Oh, how inconvenient and and harrowing for you as consequences tend to be."
Yeah, it's so like, I guess it is the delivery. It's just kind of like so pretentious in a way, but also like, yeah, fuck you. I don't know what you expected to happen. I love it.
It's so nice. It is just delicious. Like that is exactly the word for that feeling. There's so many times where I'm just like on, yes, I use Reddit, people. Jeez.
Oh, everyone look them up.
There's so many times where I'm on there and I'm on like instant karma or something.
Yeah, instant regret.
Just like,
watch people die inside.
Yeah, or especially like the ones with like kids where they don't actually get hurt, but like you can tell they're learning a lesson because it's just a kid being an asshole, like a kid who doesn't know social cues does because
they don't understand consequences.
Yeah, and then just something like a dog kicks them or something because they were messing with the dog's tail, and they're just like, "What?"
Yeah,
and you're like, "Yeah, kid, don't mess with that dog."
Cue Maynard saying how inconvenient and unexpected and harrowing for you as consequences tend to be.
Oh my god.
Maybe I just need to get that on a soundboard and just keep it handy so anytime that happens in real life I can play it.
Yes, please do. If you don't, I will, and it'll be good.
Maybe we'll just both do it to each other. Maybe it's just going to be a meme on the show now. We'll have a soundboard set up, and when something stupid happens on the show, we'll just push the button and it'll play that.
You know, that'd be pretty sweet. And yep, DLB is the next.
Yep, DLB.
So DLB is track number 9, right?
Yes,
track
that is
9.
correct.
Okay.
You're good on numbers.
Okay. Oh my god.
You're so worried since the one time you fucked up.
Dude, I'm telling you, I will remember it for the rest of my life. I'll be hopefully like 70 and remembering it and be like, man, I got numbers wrong that one time. Now it's on the internet forever, and everybody thinks I'm an idiot.
Well, how inconvenient and unexpected and harrowing for you. DLB, track 9. It's kind of this musical interlude. This one immediately has this kind of like crushed and defeated and ominous vibe. Kind of like the baddie in a movie was wronged, and now he's plotting his revenge on the world. They laughed at him, and they're going to pay kind of a thing. Also, apparently DLB stands for Don't Look Back.
Oh, okay. I had no idea what it stood for, but I kind of got the feeling that like this was from the point of view of the person who just got their karmic retribution in the last song, and they're like, it was inconvenient and unexpected and harrowing.
As consequences apparently tend to be.
I wouldn't know. I've never heard of these consequences.
But yeah, I saw someone on Genius said that it was "Don't Look Back" because this separates some of the prior tracks, which are always which all seem to bring up some social issue of some sort, and then the rest of the album, which is allegedly him solving or having proposing solutions for these. I don't necessarily agree with that because I feel like some of the prior tracks, like "Talk Talk" and like "Eat the Elephant," are kind of giving solutions to those things instead of just bringing up issues. And furthermore, I think some of the next upcoming songs are kind of also just pointing out issues, kind of thing. So I don't know if that was his intent with saying "Don't look back," meaning like, okay, like that's past, now we're moving forward, kind of a thing, or if he just wanted to separate these next three tracks.
Just immediately when I hear "Don't Look Back" in that context, I don't think it's a separation. I think it's just like reaffirmation as to what he's saying in the very first song, where it's just he's talking about you just need to do it, just go ahead and do it, and
Yeah,
he's just continuing and saying don't look back whenever you do it.
but also maybe he's kind of like tongue in cheek and saying like, no, don't look back, don't learn from history. Like you just had poetic justice served to you,
Yeah,
and like no, like you need to learn from something. And maybe he's just being cheeky and saying like, no, don't look back, don't learn from this. Like be an American and keep going
yeah.
forward. And this is gonna happen again, and I'm gonna laugh just like I did just in the last track.
To
I'll
be
remind you
clear,
how inconvenient and unexpected and harrowing it is.
to be clear, we are shitting on America a lot, rightfully so. I'm not gonna make apologies, but just know that the rest of the world is not safe
It's
from
true.
their own hubris.
It's true.
We are just a great example of it.
And we are Americans, so this is the context in which we live.
Yeah,
Also, I am grateful. There are a lot of worse places that we could live.
yeah.
We have comfortable lives, and I'm not selling that short by shitting on America.
But I don't
Because,
think that's America. I don't think America did that for us.
that's true.
I
That's
think
very true. Fuck you, America. You didn't birth me.
yeah, definitely. And even if you did, you didn't control the rest of my life. At least not in the right ways.
Yeah,
Control the rest of my life in all the shitty ways where you're like, hey, don't do
all
this,
the
don't do this. If you don't do this right, you're gonna be literally thrown in jail and have to pay a lot of money that you don't have for the rest of your life.
yeah, and you'll just be watching the sand fall in the hourglass until you die.
Hoping it falls quicker, actually.
Indeed, like
But
track number 10, hourglass.
hourglass.
This one's got an ominous low rumbling. I really like this track a lot. It like I don't know. It's got that low rumbling and it's got these anxious synths that make you feel like you're immediately in danger. The
Yeah.
drums come in and they're perfect and snappy, and like there's a lot of weird vocal effects going on and this low droning synth. I really love the aesthetic that he's painting in this song with the music. His voice is notably different in this track. There's a few layers of his voice, but he's also kind of singing and pronouncing things in a weird way, and also his voice is being passed through some like weird filtering and stuff. And I don't know, it's just it's a fun song to listen to. It's very like I don't want to say it's catchy, but it's very interesting to me to listen to it.
Yeah, I think this song goes a different direction. Like how you talk about uh, what was it? Delicious went a different direction
Right.
in the wrong way. I think this song goes a different direction in the right way. And
I agree.
it's like he's almost rapping at parts, like in the
Yeah.
verses. Like I know like that's like I don't know. Anybody who sings fast isn't rapping, but like I
I mean,
think he
he
actually
gives it kind of like a hip hoppy
yeah.
delivery.
And whatever happens, like the bit crushed vocoderized thing that he does
Yeah.
in the chorus is just it's really nice and I like it. But even more than the music, I like once again the lyrical content
Hmm.
or what the song is about
Right.
because it seems to be about how time is pointless because all of these issues have just always been happening.
Hmm.
And like all the issues we're having now have been happening forever and people have been looking and looking for solutions and nothing ever gets done about them.
Right. It's very much like I don't know. He brings it back to political systems, and he's kind of like saying like, hey, look, all of these will inevitably break down and fail. We're doomed. There's not like there's no way for us to get out of this. There's no hope left. Like everything we've tried and everything we will try is just going to break down. The chorus, he says, like, aristocrat breaks down 2, timocrat breaks down 2, oligarch breaks down 2, republicrat breaks down 2. I can't even say that fucking made up word. But he's just saying, like, all of these political philosophies are just like, there are holes in them. There's no perfect system, and we've spent so much time trying to, maybe not even trying. I mean, honestly, a lot of this album's kind of implying that nobody's trying to fix it, but there don't seem to be any good options, in his opinion, at least.
Yeah. And, I love me some nihilism. Some cynicism, I guess would be a better word.
Yeah. Fun fact, I know you didn't look at the Genius, or you said you weren't looking at the Genius stuff, but apparently the chorus that I just recited talking about aristocrats, democrats, oligarchs, whatever, it's pretty much verbatim Plato's 5 regimes as a concept proposed in one of his books, which he in the book are described as aristocracy, which is defined as the rule by the wise, timocracy, defined by rule by honor, oligarchy, defined by rule by wealth and land ownership, democracy or anarchy, defined as the rule by the many, and then the final one that's not mentioned by Maynard is tyranny, which is obviously the most degenerated and the least free system. So it kind of like, it kind of gives you the sense of like, every system breaks down to the point where the only remaining option is tyranny, which obviously isn't the good solution. That is the opposite of the desired outcome, but there's not really anything to do that can save us from this, because it seems inevitable.
It definitely makes sense that there's no hope left in the hourglass then.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty interesting. He's apparently a very well-read person, which kudos to him. I wish I was well-read, but I don't like reading books.
I wish I was well-read and actually retained any of the information. Yeah. Like, I could read everything. I'm not going to remember any of this tomorrow. Like, I spent a week listening to this album and looking at stuff and listening to lyrics.
It's tomorrow. Okay. We remember biblical stories that were ingrained in our child.
Yeah.
Or in our childhood, into our brains, and we bring them up when referencing lyrics on albums like this. So
there we go.
At least that stuck, I guess.
Yeah, at least that stuck. That's great.
Of all the things that could have stuck. But yeah, I don't know. He talks about all the warning signs that are gone or ignored or destroyed. Like he says, red flag red, all the sentinels are damned. The Tokyo Kitty, Swallow, Rose, and Canary, those are all various like warning signs of natural disasters or whatever. The canary in the coal mine kind of a thing. So like, I don't know. It seems like he's pointing a finger at us as a society, saying like, no, like we've just ignored all of these warning signs. We're doomed. Nothing that we're going to do is going to fix this.
Oh, wait. So I have Genie's pulled up, and yes, he does own a winery.
Because that was relevant to the conversation we were having.
But so the warning signs, he references a rose, and if you plant roses near grapes, roses die faster than grapes. So if the soil's bad, the roses die, and you know that you need to fix the soil before the grapes die. Boom.
Wineries, man. What a fucking wine guy.
And apparently, his winery is called Caduceus Cellars.
Oh.
So that's cool.
That's exciting.
That references Taliesin that I referenced earlier.
Caduceus? Caduceus? Caudicus?
I don't know. I'm saying Caduceus because...
It does. Who fucking knows? Not me.
I don't know either. And honestly, I don't know how to go into track 11. But
well, because he mentions all the various warning signs, the Tokyo Kitty, Swallow, the roses that die first, and the canary in the coal mine. And what do canaries have?
Beaks.
They've feathers, Joey. It was right there in front of you. Track number 11's feathers. You knew it was coming. You're doing it to spite me, and I don't appreciate it.
I have my reasons. You'll find out in time.
The fuck is that supposed to mean, Joey? Do we have some beef that's unresolved that I don't know about? Let's air our shit right here on the podcast. Track
No.
number 11, Feathers. It's got some bright sounding guitar and some pounding drums with this light bass and piano accompany. Everything kind of falls away as his vocals come in, which he does a lot on this album, as we've discussed, and I like it every time he does it. The track kind of ballady in a way. The verses are split up by these guitar-y musical sections at first, and then they kind of get blended in to the verses as well. I like the guitar solo on this track. It's pretty okay track.
I just like that I get to use the word vibey for the first time.
Is that the first time we've said vibey tonight? I think it is.
I think it is, and it's definitely the first time I've said it, or else I feel like I would have pointed it out at some point.
Right.
But
hashtag vibe check.
Woo! This song is a vibe check to me. I don't know. I think so. I've heard vibe check before.
Yeah, I feel like it's a thing.
That's probably a thing people say.
We're not old men. We're hip.
We're hip cats, you know.
We're hip cats.
Getting down with the cool kids.
Turn it down with the wild game.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, well, that's from Jim. Why did I say Tim? Jim Henson's The Labyrinth with David Bowie.
Oh, okay. Well, there we
go. So that's how hip I am. Referencing an 80s movie with David Bowie.
Dude, David Bowie's cool, though.
He is, and he was cooler when he was alive.
I mean, he's still cool, though. His memory...
Yeah, he left us a lot of good shit.
Yeah, he is an icon and therefore never dies.
That's true.
I mean, not to discount the fact that he's passed away and it's sad. But...
I'm not saying that he's not dead, but he's not dead.
Oh,
but
my God.
The song lyrically, Feathers... it seems a bit more metaphorical than a lot of the songs, maybe just to me. It seems like he's talking about how sadness weighs everyone down, and he kind of casts this hope that through opening up with each other and sharing more with each other can lead to this lifting of the burden of sadness, kind of allowing everyone to prosper. Kind of like this. No, I'm not going to get economical, but yeah, it's just like this feeling of like, I'll air my shit, you air your shit. We'll realize that we have more in common and we can work to solve these problems together instead of just being isolated and angry at each other.
Yeah. Or at least not feel so alone.
Right. Because you were never an island.
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember if I referenced it before or after we started recording, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it anyways. This song is why I had referenced a big black octopus of anxiety gripping onto my organs earlier. I think it was before, actually.
I think it was as well.
But we were talking about our pre-show anxiety.
What? We don't get anxious before the show. We just do it. This is natural, man.
Nothing is natural, Jeremy. In this world that we live in, full of air conditioning, we're looking at TV screens that have been made out of minerals mined from other countries.
Yeah, how could it be more natural than that?
Because how do they get over here, Jeremy? How do humans?
What's the saying? A CPU and a computer is just a rock that we fold into thinking with lightning or with electricity. Like,
if that were entirely true, I'd feel better about it all. But this song resonated
neither
with
here
me
nor there
due to the fact that I don't know, the album cover is an octopus. That is how I've previously, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I've been to therapy before, and I've previously described anxiety as exactly that, a black octopus gripping my organs, and it feels like it will not let up. And the feathers are what I've always been striving for, to get rid of that octopus, turn that octopus into something that can float away.
I like that. It's very. Thank you for sharing that. It's not something that obviously we joke about a lot of shit, but like, it's not a bad thing to go to therapy. It's a great thing to go to therapy, I think, and I think more people should do it. And I think anxiety is super relatable. So the fact that you're talking about it, like, hopefully, if someone ever listens to our podcast, they'll find some comfort or some solace knowing that at least they're not the only one that feels that way, and they'll agree.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, though, because I'm never anxious at all. I'm a flawless human being who has no issues and feels no octopuses. I think that's the technical proper.
I feel like it's octopi.
I think it's octopuses. I'm pretty sure. I'm
Or
pretty
maybe
sure.
it's both. Is
Well,
it both?
yeah. It's language. We discussed this I think last week, where
Yeah.
words or whatever. Because we were talking about pecans and pecans.
Pecans. Yeah.
It's like, as long as someone's getting the meaning, it doesn't fucking matter.
Oh my god, I just looked it up, and literally the first sentence that I read was, "While octopi has become popular in modern usage, it's wrong."
Well, there you go. I guess it's time to get the let out and change yourself.
Octopuses. That just sounds weird.
Yeah, well, deal with it. You're just a little child that's afraid of saying octopussy because James Bond did it first.
That was a decent movie. But yeah, we do
Yeah.
need to get the let out. Is that what you said? That's what you said at one
That
point, I
is
think, right?
what I said because we're over time as I knew we would be, but it's fine. We're almost done. We're on the home
Yeah.
stretch. We're gonna get the let out with track number 12 called "Get the Let Out." I really fucking love this track, Joey.
Dude, I really fucking love this track. Oh my
That's
god.
great. It starts with some like simple piano that gets built upon with some bass and some really like chill drums. It reminds me a lot of The National, which is a band that has like a lot of chill piano driven
Hmm.
ballady stuff. It also kind of ties back to Eat the Elephant musically. There's some kind of like musical tie-ins and similar chord structures and stuff that kind of perhaps reflect on where we started and the idea of like we said, it's taking that first step.
Hmm.
It's getting started with it. The piano stops and some like warbling synth washes in and out, taking with it the bass and the drums until it's just a hi hat and Maynard comes in saying chit chat chit chat. It's just like it's so good. You hear like muted ukulele strings, but then it's actually just like a record scratching everything, kind of
Yeah.
like reversing it, and then it cuts, and you just get this boom of this fucking drum coming in with this plucked string violin sound kind of a thing, and the snappy snare, and it's got such a good groove to it, and there's like a lot of layers going on, but it's also super not layered and simple, if that makes any sense.
It makes sense to me.
It's just like God, I fucking love it. Just musically, I love the
Yeah.
song.
I could like this song is the longest on the album. I think it's almost 7 minutes long. It's like 6.5, 6:45. But I could do for about another 4 or 5 minutes of just the music even.
Yeah,
It's
it's good. Like, and then like adding in his vocals, because there are a couple layers of his vocals and different effects and stuff that happen. That it's like for a lot of it, it's kind of like distant and distorted and underneath the music, and then you hear him singing in like a higher melody, "Get the Let Out," and then there's like a more distant kind of subdued thing where he says "Suck it up, Buttercut," and then
Mhm.
there's this like low pitch shifted slash morph thing going, "We've got places to
Oh
be,"
my
kind of
god.
a thing, and it's just like, oh,
I fucking love that.
it's so good. Just listen to the song if you're not going to listen to this album. I fucking
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, for real.
Also listen to this album though.
Yeah, cuz I feel like this song it is great, but as we've talked about earlier or on earlier episodes, we've talked about it a lot. I feel like you
Mm-hmm.
have to experience this as the final song on the album for it to
Right.
really hit the
To get
way.
the punch.
Yeah. But that could just be me being some elitist asshole. Just listen to the song if you want
I
to.
mean, Joey, look, we have a podcast where we just give our opinions about music. Like, if that's our standard, is elitist asshole, is us explaining music to people and why it's good music.
And why
So
our
I'm
opinions
I'm
matter.
over it. Yeah, I'm over it. If people are listening to this for our opinions, so if they get upset that we're giving them our opinion, then they can get fucked.
But so the thing, I know you already went over it and you did it all swimmingly, but that opening piano,
Yeah.
it sounds like it's fucking melting, dude. Like it slowly becomes like more and more out of tune,
Hmm.
and I just love that. And it just gets more and more out of tune until it breaks into the rest of the song. And like, man, when that so there like there's the record scratch, but then whenever that first bass drum kicks and the whole
Yeah,
song kind of just like flips,
it's so good.
it's just it's so
It's
nice.
like a bomb goes off, and it's just like, but it's not noise.
Yeah,
It's like normally when there's that kind of a breakdown and it's kind of a big sound bringing it back, there's a lot of layers and a lot of noise, but it's just this drum kit and the fucking plucked strings, and it's so minimal but so powerful. It's just I don't know. I
yeah.
fucking love it. I've said that like 10 times already for the song, but I do.
And I agree. So, yeah.
Yeah, and lyrically, this one's kind of like a rallying cry to get the fucking let out, get a move on. You know, shit needs to be done. He's
Yeah.
been bitching this whole album out about how fucked up the world is, and this is him kind of saying like it's time to stop talking about the issues and start working on fixing them. Which it kind of makes this full circle of an album where you have Eat the Elephant encouraging you to take the first step, which is talking or connecting, which is mentioned in like Disillusioned and Feathers and Talk Talk, and then Talk Talk comes in saying it's okay, it's fine to talk about this shit, but you got to back it up with action. And then this song is kind of like the final sentiment of like, no more wasting time, get to work, kind of a deal.
It's definitely a kick in the pants version of the rally cry.
Yeah, I love it. Obviously, you love this album. Maybe not as much as I do. Maybe as much as I do. How do you feel overall?
Overall, I would actually listen to this album a lot, and I'm going to. In fact, next week while we're listening to our album, I'm still going to be listening to this album.
That's awesome. I'm glad to have that impact because, like I said, this album and the experience associated with the album of seeing them live was just like an incredible experience. This album's always going to have a special place in my mind and in my musical rotation. But I'm glad that you have a similar sentiment with it. What are we listening to next week, though?
Next week, the band is Soilwork. The album is The Panic Broadcast. And it's an album that, like, so this album had a big impact on you. That album it had a really big impact on me. And I will go over more of that next week.
We get to know Joey a little bit next week, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God.
We can peel back some layers of the panic and anxiety that Joey has exhibited. I don't know if that's actually what's happening. I don't know a lot of Joey's personal stuff. Like we don't talk a lot about that stuff. Not that we're like hiding it, but it just never comes up, right?
It's just I don't know. It's just not stuff that I ever talk about ever, really.
Yeah.
I didn't even I don't know. I don't even talk about it with people who are like in my house. So
yeah, I totally get that. Like I don't know if it's a generational thing or if it's just us or like I don't know. I feel like I don't open up a lot to most of my friends. Like even my closest friends, like we don't just discuss that shit. We all have fun and we enjoy each other's company and we have hobbies that we share and we talk about a lot of shit, but personal stuff doesn't usually come up.
Yeah.
Unless something's horribly wrong, I guess.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, you can't really avoid it. So.
Right. Yeah, next week maybe we get to dip into a little bit more real talk with Joey and find out maybe I'm just blowing this up too much and Joey was just like, no, like I smoked a bowl and it was fucking
but, I mean, I'm not gonna say that didn't happen, but you're also not entirely wrong with your first assumption.
So cool. Next week, Soilwork, the Panic Broadcast. We'll be listening to it and talking about it next week. Until then, you guys can find us on the social medias. Hit us up. Let us know if this album resonated with you all. I know it's kind of a rough, scary time in America with all of the politics happening, and maybe this album could trigger some shit if you're easily triggered by that kind of thing. But it was not intentional, and I think it's good to talk about that shit. So hit us up. Twitters, Facebooks, Instagrams, slide into my DMs somewhere. Is that a thing? I think that's the thing kids say. Slide into your DMs.
Is that a Twitter thing? I don't know.
No, I don't know. Stay in our feedback loop.
Bye.